Bills-Chiefs needs to be played at night. And I'm not just saying that to advocate for it to be on NBC's Sunday Night Football. It could be Monday night. It could be Thursday night. It could be any night. The good news is when that game ends, it will be dark. It's just a game that cries out to be played under the lights. Doesn't it? Doesn't it?
Yeah.
And look, Peter, we're going to talk about the game in a second. My shtick all week has been the Sunday night game is actually bigger than Bills-Chiefs because we don't know about the Eagles. We don't know about the Cowboys. We know the Bills and Chiefs are good. This is the appetizer to their inevitable meeting again in the postseason. But still, it's Bills-Chiefs, and it's a continuation of our new, I think, Brady-Manning rivalry between Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah. Look, Mike, I'm going to that game on Sunday, and I'm going to write about it in my column on Monday. And one of the things that I find fascinating about this rivalry is the sort of symmetry of recent years. Do you realize that the Bills and Kansas City have played each other in either week 5 or 6 of 2020, 2021, and now 2022? They played each other at Arrowhead Stadium in the divisional round of the 2020 season and of the 2021 season. Does anyone doubt that could happen again? And oh, by the way, Buffalo at Kansas City again in 2023. So we'll see if they play it in the middle of October, which has become a habit. But the one thing, and I love how you referenced this is the new Brady Manning, because if you go back and you look at the great quarterback rivalries, like Jim Kelly, Dan Marino, maybe Marino, Elway. You go back even further, Bradshaw, Stabler, all that. And now, obviously, for 15 years, Brady Manning. I think this one has a chance with so many great quarterbacks in the game right now. This one has a chance to be the premier rivalry for the next 15 years. The exact same way that Brady Manning was. These guys are both young. They haven't even started 70 games yet in the NFL, and they're both lifers. Neither of their teams is going to let them out of that place. There's a fantastic bedrock set up in each franchise, Kansas City and Buffalo. Mike, this is going to be the New England-Indianapolis rivalry for the next decade.
The one big difference, though, New England and Indianapolis were in a position to dominate their divisions year in and year out, win the division, and set up the playoff tree in a way that put them on a collision course in the AFC Championship. I don't know that it's going to be quite as easy for the Chiefs and the Bills. Maybe it will be. You see all these other teams in the AFC West trying to catch the Chiefs, and there are some other good teams in the AFC East, but I still think they get there more often than not, and once they're there, the chances are at least not zero that they find a way to be playing each other, because I think that's what makes the rivalry. It's not crossing paths in October. It's right. Squaring off with a potential chance at the Super Bowl on the line and all the stakes that go into a postseason game. And for those of you who didn't like last night with 19 total points, how about this? The two highest scoring teams currently in the NFL, the Chiefs with 159 through 5 games and the Bills with 152 through 5 games. Get together. Watch. It'll be 13-12. I don't think so, though, Peter. I think both of these offenses are going to find a way to move the ball and score points.
Mike, you just said that, hey, can they dominate their divisions? Look, Kansas City's won the AFC West 6 years in a row. And Buffalo is on its way to dominating the AFC East in a similar way. Now, look, Miami is better. New England's never going to be awful. And the Jets, who knows? But I can't see anybody beating out Josh Allen maybe 1 year. But the Bills are going to be good for a long time. Kansas City's going to be good for a long time. And just my feeling right now about this rivalry, I just can't look across the NFL and see, Joe Burrow and Lamar Jackson, maybe. But I don't have the faith in the Cincinnati Bengals to win 12 games every year. I just don't. Whereas I have the faith in Buffalo and Kansas City. As long as Patrick Mahomes and Josh Allen are quarterbacking those two teams, they're going to win double digits every year.
Well, and it's harder for two teams in the same division to develop a meaningful postseason rivalry because they both have to get in. And it's easier for teams in two different divisions to get in than teams that are competing head-to-head twice per year. There may be years where one just doesn't get there. Like last year, the Ravens didn't get there, so we couldn't have had a Lamar Jackson, Joe Burrow battle. Mahomes is an underdog at home for the first time ever in his career. And you know how this movie goes by now. Publicly, Mahomes would say, I don't care about that. Privately, they find a way to use that to get themselves just a little more fired up about the challenge to come. That people actually think Patrick Mahomes can't hold serve at home against the Bills. At home, when I know last year the Bills won there in the regular season, but when it's a big game, Mahomes shows up, and this is a way to help him, if he needs it, convince himself it's an even bigger deal than it otherwise would be.
Mike, I just have a feeling about this game. And that is, last year when Buffalo left Kansas City in the playoffs, and I'm just looking down because I was trying to think of the numbers. Mahomes throws for 378, completes 33 out of 44. He runs for 70 yards or whatever he did that day. Even though we all know that a coin flip should not determine the game in overtime. But what I do remember about that game so well is thinking that Buffalo's got to do something to neutralize Mahomes. Brandon Beane thought the exact same thing. And I don't know when he first said to himself, I've got to move heaven and earth to get a great pass rusher in here and to get a good rotation going among my young guys, the Rousseaus, the Bashams, the Epinesses. I have to get a stud in there. And so what he did is he went out and he overpaid Von Miller, and justifiably, because you don't want to waste 2 or 3 years in the prime of your franchise quarterback. So I totally think he did the right thing in paying Von Miller, in my opinion, too much for a guy who clearly you don't know how many prime years he has left. And the one thing I would say, Mike, in talking to someone in Buffalo this week, that Von Miller has made a difference in another way. And that is with the young players, especially Ed Oliver, Rousseau, Boogie Basham. He has made a difference with those guys who view him as a Pied Piper, who view him as a guy who, hey, listen, tell us what to do, show us the way. And I think on Sunday we're going to see, has this been enough to make sure that Patrick Mahomes doesn't absolutely dominate us again?
And what we typically see, Peter, with Patrick Mahomes, when he's healthy, it doesn't matter who you have. The Purple People Eaters or any of the great pass rushes of the past, he can run rings around them in a way where everybody else seems like they're in slow motion. I mean, I've said multiple times the past couple of weeks, he's like the Harlem Globetrotters, and every defense chasing him is the Washington Generals. That it's got that flair to it where you always know at the end of the day he's going to pull out something magical, and everybody else is just kind of going along with it. Just look at the play
against the Bucks that we just showed.
Exactly. So, and the only time we didn't see that was when his toe was so bad he had surgery 3 days after the Super Bowl, when the Buccaneers were able to eliminate that little extra edge. That's his magic. That's the genius, where he has the ability to stay just a half step ahead of everyone who's coming after him and to change directions and move. And as Sim says, he knows where he's going and he knows where everyone else is going. He's got this uncanny ability to map it all out in 3D and know where the creases are and where the seams are. And this is the great test. Can you put together a pass rush that can get to him even when he's healthy enough to run at full capacity and do all of those things? Or will Von Miller and Greg Rousseau and the others just close in the walls on him before he can do it? That may be the difference in the game. If they can do that once or twice and make a big stop in a big spot, the Bills win the game. If he continues to do what we saw him do against the Bucs, the Chiefs find a way to score enough points to win like we saw them do down 17 points on Monday night. It's just a matter of time. I've said before, to continue the basketball analogy, there was a time when I watched basketball when my life wasn't completely consumed by football. You got one of these great teams that goes on an 18-2 run. You know what's going to happen. You're up by 10, feeling pretty good about yourself, right? They go on an 18-2 run, and it's over. And that's what the Chiefs are capable of doing. I don't care what the score is. They can wake up at any given moment and score 4 touchdowns in 4 drives.
Mike, you know what's interesting right now in looking at the usage of Von Miller? I'll never forget when I went to training camp, I spent some time with Brandon Beane, and he said, look, Von Miller basically is going to be our closer. And so in the vernacular, that means that we're going to use Von Miller sparingly, sort of, and we are going to make sure that he's able to come in and shut the door in the 9th inning, be a closer. But I think one of the things that Sean McDermott and his defensive coordinator, Leslie Frazier, have been kind of experimenting with is trying to figure out that sweet spot, okay? He has not played more than 43 snaps in any game. And he's also played as little as 28 snaps. But really, I sense that they want him to be somewhere in the 30s so that when you get to January, he's going to be fresh enough to be able to play 55 or 60 snaps in these playoff games. And what has really benefited this team is that the younger guys, particularly Gregory Rousseau, have really played well and have upped their games so that the Bills don't feel as desperate to play Von Miller more than he's played 56% of the snaps so far this year. They don't feel desperate to play him any more than that because they've gotten a good run out of their good young pass rushers.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.